Penguins fans are livid about this. They come into a Tuesday night tilt with the Colorado Avalanche jarring on a 4-game winning streak. Penguins having won 5 of their last 6 games. The power play had looked better, and then disappointment per usual. The Pittsburgh Penguins have not lived up to expectations once again this season, and I'm here to cover all of that for you guys today. Penguins Digest, first ever episode. My name is Remington Kuhn. Thank you for joining me, and we are going to cover the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Colorado Avalanche, the game that just happened last night. Obviously, my initial reaction is not very positive, but I will tell you all of the good and the bad and the ugly that I saw in the game last night. So let's react to the Penguins losing 6-2 to the Colorado Avalanche. Honestly, there were a lot of good things that happened last night, a lot of steps in the right direction. So the feelings that Sidney Crosby, the Penguins captain, had about the fans and the way that they treated the team after that game, well, let's just show you a graphic that says it all. Sidney Crosby obviously reacting to being booed by the home fans. Nathan MacKinnon lit up the Pittsburgh Penguins last night. The Avalanche offense and the big three of Makar, MacKinnon, and Mikko Rantanen really stole the show. Crosby said, I think there's been sometimes this season where we deserved it. I don't think tonight was one of them. And I would tend to agree with Sid there. There have been a lot of really bad games for the Penguins this season where they did deserve to be booed at PPG Paints Arena. But last night, they actually had a valiant effort going against one of the league's best teams. Now, the Avalanche weren't off to a crazy good start this year, back and forth, some goaltending woes. Well, they actually swapped both of their goalies out in 2 different trades, one back in November with Nashville, and then a recent trade with San Jose where they traded Alexander Georgiev to the Sharks. But regardless, the Penguins were feeling good. They're riding in on their high horse. They're winning games. They're back on track, or so it seems. And then they just get knocked down again by this. But it's not like they were out of this game. I really do have a lot to say about the game itself, so I think we should dive right into the analysis portion of this video. We're going to talk about what actually went wrong in the Penguins game against the Avs last night, something everybody wants to know the answer to. What is wrong with this team this year? What is wrong? Well, there's a lot of things wrong with this team this year, and I'm going to tell you all about it. First, we start off in the first period. The Penguins obviously having to kill off power plays against a very deadly power play unit in the Colorado Avalanche. The big three is the main reason why it is so deadly. Nathan MacKinnon showing off his speed last night, showing that gap between him and pretty much any other player in the NHL other than the Connor McDavids of the world. Nathan MacKinnon, blazing speed. The puck always finds him. It's like he has a magnet on his stick. He's one of the best players on planet Earth. A fantastic hockey player, leading that team to a Stanley Cup years ago. But obviously, they're still a cup contender this year. Don't get it twisted. And when Nathan MacKinnon is skating into the Penguins' defensive zone and Owen Pickering, a rookie that only has a few NHL games under his belt, is tasked with trying to stop Nathan MacKinnon, well, let's look at a tweet that happened during the game. Hunter actually tweeted out, I didn't have Owen Pickering winning a 1v1 against Nathan MacKinnon on my bingo card tonight. He played that beautifully. And that was my reaction as well when Owen Pickering took the puck away from Nathan MacKinnon early in the first period. He was just gliding down the wing into the offensive zone for the Avs, trying to fast break. And then Owen Pickering, man, you can't say enough about this kid. Showing the poise to just be positioned absolutely beautifully for the Penguins and keep Nathan MacKinnon to the outside, keep him from starting that fast break opportunity and getting the puck to the center for a guy like Mikko Rantanen to bang it home, which happened multiple times last night. So great play by Owen Pickering. That's one of the positives that I take from that game last night, was what Owen Pickering was able to do against Nathan MacKinnon. So we see that early on, and then something else that I noticed that was a key for the Penguins to have some success in that game is something Mike Sullivan does strategically, and he does this on purpose. He knows what he's doing. Let's look at the Penguins lineup. So if you take a look at the lineup, the Penguins like to put multiple centers, or at least multiple guys that can take a faceoff, on the same line. Now, strategically, that helps you in both offensive and defensive zone situations. Yesterday, it bailed them out in a defensive zone situation when a center was forced out of the draw. You know how the referees are. They will pull a guy out of the faceoff dot if he is being a little bit too aggressive or jumping the gun a little bit on the faceoff. So they pull one of the Penguin centers off, and then one of the wingers, who also happens to be a center, goes in, takes the draw, wins the draw, avoids a crisis early on. So the Penguins were playing a competitive hockey game until late in the third period. And one of the reasons why is things like that, the little things. Winning those defensive zone faceoffs, getting the puck out. You have Sidney Crosby on this team, the all-time NHL leader in faceoff wins, and the rest of the centers on the team are pretty good as well. So a lot of faceoff wins, a lot of possession opportunities for the Penguins, but it just doesn't work if all the other aspects of your game are not flowing. So it does suck a little bit to see the Penguins struggling so much in other phases of the game, but the face-off circle is one of the positives that we can take away. So then something else that I noticed in the first period was Kevin Hayes. Now, not in a good way. Kevin Hayes has not been anything special this season, but I do have to call for more of Kevin Hayes. When you bring Kevin Hayes in, Kyle Dubas thinking he was making a great move to acquire a great player, an all-star not that long ago, Kevin Hayes, he just hasn't produced for the Penguins. Now, he's not even getting 10 minutes of ice time per game on average, so I'm not expecting those stats to be anything crazy, but I'm just noticing a lot of holes in his game right now. And I'm just calling for more for Kevin Hayes. He's a great player. I've loved watching Kevin Hayes in previous seasons. He played really well for the Flyers, for the Blues. He's just a good player. So I'm really expecting more out of Kevin Hayes. And that graphic tells you a lot about what Kevin Hayes has done this year, -11 on the season. So obviously not helping the Penguins. Now I want to say something about Alex Nedeljkovic, the Penguins' backup goalie. He took a puck to the face in the first period. He returned in the second period. He's okay. You see the picture. He had some stitches, kind of a black eye look there for Nedeljkovic. I just think it makes him look like he got out of a bar fight and he won the fight. So he looks tough. Hockey players are supposed to get their teeth knocked out and get punched around. I would know, former player myself. Alex Nedeljkovic is a warrior. He's back on the bench. No worries with him. So no long-term issues with Nedeljkovic after he got hit in the face by a puck. But a guy that I also noticed is Blake Lizotte. Blake Lizotte is one of those spark plugs for the Penguins. Reminds me of Brandon Tanev years ago. That guy that's just always feisty, fighting for loose pucks, battling, physicality, everything you want to see out of Lizotte. He gets buried to the ground by a cross-check, pucks right back up and keeps playing. So that's pretty much all for the first period and the beginning of the second period. As I also noticed, some really good plays from Rickard Rakell. Rickard Rakell has been one of the best players on the Penguins all season long, something people did not expect. He faced a lot of criticism as well when the Penguins brought him over from Anaheim. He's a very skilled player. They signed him to a contract extension, and he has lived up to that. If we pull back up the graphic of the line combinations, and we see that he has actually been playing on a line with Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust. So Rickard Rakell is getting that key opportunity playing alongside Sidney Crosby. You think back to the Penguins' really talented players that have played next to Sidney Crosby, Jake Gensel, you got Chris Kunitz, Pascal Dupuis, just some really good players over the years that have been able to play on a line with Sid the Kid. And Brian Rust really found that chemistry with Sid. And instead of having Gensel over there, Rickard Rakell has moved up from the second line to the first line, and he's taken it by storm. I mean, he's producing at a high level, at a high clip for the Penguins. He's been one of their main point producers really all season. So I got to say nothing but good things about him. So let's get back to more game analysis. I'm throwing all this at you at once here, guys, the first episode of Penguins Digest. But something else that I noticed in the second period was Cody Glass. Now, this guy, statistically, you're not going to see a whole lot on his graphic. That's why I'm not even going to pull one up of Cody Glass, because the stats do lie sometimes. And with Cody Glass, I do feel like they lie a little bit, because this guy is a fantastic hockey player. He has been a physical presence for the Penguins. He has been everything that they could have asked for, bringing him over. A former first-round pick of the Vegas Golden Knights, their first-round pick, actually, suffered a concussion, and this was his third game back from that concussion. He missed extended time with that concussion. And then during his interview in the second period, he did score his first goal as a Penguin last night. He made sure to give credit to Kris Letang and Evgeni Malkin, Tanger and Gino, shouting them out, giving the credit where credit is due, not being selfish, and just making it, known that these guys are the reason why he's succeeding right now in his role. and fantastic player he is. I love seeing him out there for the Penguins. Really key player for them. So let's get to the next player that's been a key player for the Penguins and a big reason why they've had so much success. Michael Bunting. Now, this guy's a guy I've openly criticized, talking about what I expect from Michael Bunting, expecting more from Michael Bunting because he played so well beside Austin Matthews in Toronto. And Kyle Dubas, obviously a guy that brought him in at that time, was able to get him back in the Jake Gensel trade at the deadline last year. He was a big reason why the Penguins had success down the stretch last year, so I expected a good bit from him coming into this season because of what he did last year, and he just hasn't really lived up to that. So it's unfortunate what Bunting has had to go through this year as far as all the ups and downs of the season. But if you look at the first few games, Michael Bunting only had 1 point over the first 12 games of the season this year, and then he has 12 points in 17 games since. One of the Penguins' leading scorers in those 17 games. So Michael Bunting scoring some key goals. He got another one last night, his third in the last 5 games. Bunty has been absolutely fantastic for Pittsburgh, and you can't say enough good things about the guy. So I just want to give a shout out to Michael Bunting and what he's been able to do as of late, turning his season around for the Penguins. A big reason why they've been winning games lately. And he scored again last night, like I said, third in 5 games. So then we move on to the final period of play. Not as much to say about the third period. Overall aggressiveness and tenacity really kicked up for the Penguins in that third period. I really did like what I was seeing out of the boys, but they fell flat on their faces. And let's just show you the box score while I talk about this. Obviously, your 3 stars of the game: Mikko Rantanen, 5-point night, Nathan MacKinnon as well, and then Michael Bunting got your 3rd star. But overall, I mean, Valeri Nichushkin scored a crazy goal against the Penguins, made Pettersson look like a traffic cone. Wasn't great to watch. The life got sucked out of the arena once it became 4-2, and they just didn't look back. I mean, it was rough. Avs even took a too many men penalty after they scored there, and the Penguins on the power play, I mean, They was a night and day difference for the first minute of that power play, but then they went flat again. And then Gino drew a penalty like he does oftentimes. There was a great setup from Cody Glass to Sidney Crosby, got denied on an on-man rush, and then the Penguins did everything but score on the power play. Seemed to be gaining some momentum, but the Avalanche just kept capitalizing. And I was saying last night, it was like the Penguins were on this Polar Express down the runway, and then some Avalanche just hit and took them completely off the tracks. Everything that they've been working for lately kind of just derailed by the Colorado Avalanche in that game last night. So, you see the box score, a lot of impact players for both teams, but mostly all I got to talk about is the Penguins. You give the Avalanche credit where credit is due, but for the Penguins, there's just so much more I would want to see from this team. Again, give credit where credit is due. The Avalanche got the win. Wedgwood, he made some crazy saves as well. He wasn't super sharp. He had a shutout his game before last night, so I wasn't expecting anything crazy last night, but he shut the door on Kevin Hayes at one point last night where I was like, wow. I mean, Kevin Hayes didn't score on that. The Penguins aren't scoring at all is what I said. So Kevin Hayes had a golden opportunity. Wedgwood denied him, and that was just that from there. Rantanen hat trick with the empty netter, and then Penguins fall to 0-6 against Central Division opponents this season. So a rough stretch for Pittsburgh, really. I mean, you see some good and some bad. Obviously, I mentioned Pickering being really good. Let's just get into the actual takeaways from this game. A lot of good things happened. I want to really shout out the Penguins for their effort up until that 4th goal was scored. They did really look fairly good last night, going toe-to-toe with the Avalanche, battling back in that game, and just trying to show some sense of pride playing at PPG Paints Arena. And then for what happened, I showed you that tweet earlier, what they said. Did obviously doesn't agree with the boos last night because he thought the team really did play their heart out up until the very end when things really got out of hand. But overall, you can't say enough about the Penguins and their heart. And, we just got to keep battling. This is going to be a long season. Right now, you just got to accept your defeat and move on. We got a road trip coming up. We don't have to play any Central Division opponents for the next few games. You look at the positives, and this is one of those positives. It's been a while since Nate and I played together at the World Championships, so it's a great opportunity for them to play together. Crosby and MacKinnon, Nova Scotia natives, very tied together for their entire careers. Obviously, really good friends off the ice. You love to see the success of Nathan MacKinnon, even winning that Stanley Cup with the Avs, years back. I was personally rooting for the Avs in that Stanley Cup because obviously you want to see Nathan MacKinnon do well. Crosby's buddy, guys from Nova Scotia, they stick together. They're going to play together in the championship. We're going to have plenty of content covering that Four Nations face-off heading into next year. It's going to be so fun to watch. Go USA, by the way. But obviously, it's going to be a really cool season to see the Penguins turn this thing around. The trade for Philip Tomasino really turn things for the Penguins for a while. Cody Glass providing a little bit of a spark, but I think they still have a lot of work to do on the managerial front. I expect Kyle Dubas to make some moves soon. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. Penguins Digest, we're just starting out right now. First episode. My name is Remington Kuhn. I'm going to be bringing you all the latest Penguins rumors, news, and just content galore for as long as I possibly can. So you stay tuned to this channel for all the latest Penguins content. And thank you all for watching the video today.